welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something huge. How do you actually manage a multi-million-dollar AI project in the green energy world and make sure it succeeds? We're going to walk through the definitive roadmap, using Claudia Reed's guide for project managers as our blueprint.
This quote right here, it really nails it. You can have the most amazing, mind-blowing AI tech on the planet, but honestly, it's absolutely useless without the right strategy and leadership to actually bring it to life. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you steer one of these massive, expensive, and frankly, mission-critical projects and not have it just completely fall apart? Well, today we are breaking down the 4-pillar blueprint that answers that exact question.
Okay, let's get into it. Pillar number 1, and maybe the most important, laying that strategic foundation. You know, this is where so many projects go off the rails. Teams get all excited about the tech, they skip this part, and they jump right into buying stuff. We're about to see why that's such a massive mistake.
It all kicks off with something called a gap analysis. First, you've got to be brutally honest about where you are right now, your tech, your data, the skills your team actually has. Then you define the future. What, and I mean specifically, do you want this AI to do for you? And then step 3, this is where the magic happens. You pinpoint the exact gaps between those 2 points. That right there, that becomes your roadmap for what you need to build, what you need to buy, and what you need to learn.
All of that hard thinking gets poured into one critical document, the project charter. Seriously, think of this thing as the constitution for your entire project. It forces you to put your goals into numbers, hard metrics like cost savings and carbon reduction. And maybe most importantly, it makes you identify an executive sponsor who will champion your project and, clear the path when things get tough. All right, with that strategic foundation poured and set, now we can talk about the fun stuff. Let's move on to the second pillar, building out your tech stack. With that strategy in hand, you can finally make smart, informed decisions about the what, the actual tools and platforms you're going to use.
And look, choosing a platform isn't about finding the one with the longest feature list. It's about asking the really tough, practical questions. Can this thing actually talk to our existing SCADA systems, the very nerve centers of our operations? Is it fully compliant with heavy-duty regulations from bodies like NERC and FERC? And can it scale up when we add thousands or tens of thousands of new sensors? The answers to these questions are what guide you to the right choice.
And getting this choice right is just absolutely critical to your budget. I mean, the technology alone can chew up almost half of your total project cost. This isn't just another line item on a spreadsheet. It is a massive financial bet that absolutely has to pay off on the promises you made back in that project charter. $1.4 million. Let that sink in for a second. That's the annual savings an offshore wind farm pulled in just by using the right tech stack for predictive maintenance. This isn't some hypothetical number. This is the real-world prize for getting your technology choices right. But here's the thing. Even the most perfect, most expensive technology on Earth will fail if you ignore the third, and you could argue, the most critical pillar of all, the people. Now we have to talk about the who of the project. So who exactly are they? Well, the first step is to map out every single person and group that has a stake in how this thing turns out. And we're not just talking about your internal teams here. This includes powerful external players, like regulators, your tech vendors, utility partners, and even local community groups. Each one has their own concerns, their own priorities, and their own influence. This means you can't just send out one generic email update to everybody and call it a day. A one-size-fits-all plan is just doomed. You have to speak the right language to the right audience. Your execs? They care about ROI, strategy, and risk. Your tech teams? They need the nitty-gritty details from daily stand-ups and sprint planning. Tailoring your message isn't just being nice, it's how you actually get them on your side. And if you think this is all just soft skills stuff, check this out. There's a case study of a project that brought its plant operators into the loop early and communicated clearly. The result? A 40% jump in how quickly they adopted the new technology. The truth is, people support what they help create. It really is that simple. Okay, we finally arrived at the fourth and final pillar,
Mastering the how. This is all about the day-to-day nuts and bolts, the methodology that keeps the project on the rails and chugging along toward the finish line. This is where the rubber meets the road. So what does this look like in practice? Here's a kind of bird's eye view of a typical 12-month project. You can see how it's broken down into 4 distinct phases. It moves logically, right? From planning and building the foundation, into the really intensive AI development, and then finally into rolling it out and fine-tuning it. It gives you a clear, predictable path through what can feel like a really chaotic process. Now, to manage a timeline like that, the guide recommends this hybrid agile waterfall model. And honestly, it's a brilliant blend. You use the superstructured, predictable waterfall method for things that absolutely cannot change, like building infrastructure or meeting compliance rules. But then, for the AI model itself, where you need to experiment, learn, and adapt, you use the super flexible, fast-moving, agile method. You get the best of both worlds, rock-solid structure where you need it, and total freedom where it really counts. When you boil it all down, the strategy, the tech, the people, the execution, the entire framework really comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. Success is all about balance. It's about blending that cutting-edge innovation with a real sense of responsibility and technology with humanity. So, you see, this is so much more than just a technical manual. It's a true roadmap for leadership. It hands you the strategy, the tools, and the human-focused frameworks you need to turn a really ambitious idea into a powerful reality. The roadmap is right here. The only question left is, what will you build with it?